Single dad woke up to find female CEO in his shirt, then she said something he couldn't believe. The sound of shattered glass jolted Mark Davis awake at 3 a.m. Rain pounded against his bedroom window as lightning illuminated the silhouette of a woman standing in his doorway, wearing nothing but his old university shirt. Their eyes locked. In that moment, neither of them could have imagined how their lives would forever intertwine, or that the words she was about to speak would change everything. If you're enjoying this story so far, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more emotional and inspiring content like this. Now, let's dive into how this extraordinary situation came to be. Mark rubbed his tired eyes as he packed his 7-year-old daughter's lunch. Peanut butter sandwich, cut diagonally just how Emma liked it, an apple, and a little note with a silly joke. These small rituals kept him anchored since losing his wife to cancer 2 years ago. "Daddy, can I wear my astronaut shirt today? We're learning about space." Mark smiled at Emma's enthusiasm despite the exhaustion that clung to him like a second skin. Between working overtime at the community center helping underprivileged kids and raising Emma alone, he barely had time to breathe. "Of course, sweetie. Your rocket ship awaits." He helped her into the shirt, her brown eyes, so like her mother's, sparkling with excitement. After dropping Emma at school, Mark drove through the pouring rain to his modest office at the community center. The place was falling apart, and funding was being cut again. They needed a miracle to keep their doors open. Across town, Alexandra Chen stepped out of her sleek electric car, assistants scrambling around her with umbrellas. As CEO of Horizon Technologies, she'd built a billion-dollar company from scratch. Today's board meeting would finalize their annual charity initiatives, something Alexandra took personal pride in managing. "Ms. Chen, the board is waiting," her assistant murmured. Alexandra nodded, straightening her impeccable suit. At 38, she had everything, except what she truly wanted. Her therapist's words from that morning echoed in her mind: "Success isn't measured by what you have, but by what you give." The board meeting droned on until they reached the charity segment. "We've narrowed down our options to 3 organizations," her CFO explained, sliding folders across the table. Alexandra flipped through them methodically until a photo caught her eye: a group of children gathered around a tired-looking man with kind eyes. The caption read, "East Side Community Center Director Mark Davis with program participants." "Tell me about this one," she said, tapping the folder. "Ah, that's the smallest operation. They're about to lose their building. Serves about 200 underprivileged kids. Nothing flashy, but they have impressive results with limited resources." Something about the man's eyes in the photograph spoke to her. Alexandra made her decision. "I want to visit this place myself before we decide. Clear my schedule for tomorrow." That evening, as Mark locked up the community center, the ancient pipes finally surrendered to years of neglect. Water began pouring through the ceiling, flooding the computer room where they taught coding skills to teenagers. Mark worked frantically through the night, trying to save equipment and important documents. By midnight, he was soaked, exhausted, and defeated. The babysitter had called twice, gently reminding him that she needed to go home. When he finally arrived home, Emma was asleep on the couch, the babysitter dozing in a chair nearby. After paying her and carrying Emma to bed, Mark collapsed on his own mattress without even changing his damp clothes. The next morning brought more rain and a crisis. The community center was uninhabitable. Mark made desperate calls seeking temporary space while simultaneously trying to get Emma ready for school. "Daddy, your phone." Emma pointed to his ringing device as he burned the toast for the 3rd time. "Mark Davis," he answered distractedly. "Mr. Davis, this is Alexandra Chen from Horizon Technologies. I'm scheduled to visit your community center today regarding a potential partnership." Mark closed his eyes in despair. "Ms. Chen, I'm so sorry, but there's been a disaster at the center. Flooding damaged everything. I was going to call to reschedule." "I see," her voice was cool, professional. "Perhaps we should reschedule for next week." "No." Mark surprised himself with his vehemence. "I mean, these kids need help now. The center is their safe place. Could we meet somewhere else today? I could show you our program plans, at least." There was a pause. "Very well. Your office is unusable. Mine is filled with meetings. Would a coffee shop work? 2 hours later, Mark sat nervously at a small cafe, Emma's school binder repurposed to hold his community center proposals. The door opened, and everyone in the cafe seemed to pause as Alexandra Chen entered. Her presence commanded attention, her tailored suit pristine despite the downpour outside. Mark stood awkwardly, suddenly aware of his rumpled shirt and the dark circles under his eyes. Mr. Davis. Alexandra Chen. Her handshake was firm, her expression unreadable. For the next hour, Mark spoke with passionate intensity about the center's programs. Alexandra asked sharp questions, taking notes in an elegant leather portfolio. These coding classes interest me, she said. Horizon started with coding initiatives for underserved communities. Mark leaned forward. Those classes are my favorite too. The kids. Their conversation was interrupted by Mark's phone. Emma's school. His heart sank. I'm sorry, I have to take this. He stepped away, returning moments later with a stricken look. My daughter's running a fever. I have to go pick her up. Alexandra gathered her papers. Of course. Family comes first. But the proposal, Mark started. We'll reschedule, she said definitively. Mark hesitated, then made a decision born of desperation. Could you come with me? We could talk while I drive, and maybe continue at my house while I get Emma settled. I know it's unprofessional, but these kids are counting on us. Alexandra checked her watch. To his surprise, she nodded. My next meeting was cancelled. Lead the way. The drive to Emma's school was filled with Mark continuing his impassioned pitch. Alexandra listened, increasingly intrigued by both his programs and his obvious devotion as a father. At the school, Emma emerged looking pale and miserable. Daddy, she said weakly before noticing Alexandra. Her eyes widened. Are you a princess? Alexandra's professional demeanor cracked with a genuine laugh. No, just a businesswoman. I'm Alexandra. I'm Emma. I have a fever, she announced matter-of-factly. So I heard. That's no fun at all. At Mark's modest home, he settled Emma on the couch with medicine in her favorite show. Alexandra sat at the kitchen table, continuing to review his proposals while Mark made soup. Your daughter is delightful, Alexandra said, watching as he clumsily tried to open a can. She's my world, Mark replied simply. After her mother died, I promised I'd give her everything she deserves. It's why the community center matters so much. Those kids deserve everything too. Something in his words resonated deeply with Alexandra. She thought of her own childhood, wealthy but emotionally bankrupt. Her parents had given her everything except time and attention. As the afternoon wore on, Alexandra found herself helping Mark tend to Emma, making calls from his living room, even assisting with a load of laundry when Emma got sick on her favorite blanket. You don't have to stay, Mark said, embarrassed as he heated more soup. Actually, I do, Alexandra replied. This is the most real conversation I've had with anyone in years. As evening approached, the storm intensified. Trees bent in the wind, and reports of flooding and downed power lines filled the emergency alerts on their phones. You shouldn't drive in this, Mark said, genuinely concerned. The guest room is small, but you're welcome to stay until it passes. Alexandra called her assistant to reschedule her evening commitments, surprising herself with how easily she set aside her typically rigid schedule. They put Emma to bed together, Alexandra reading a story while Mark tucked his daughter in. Are you Daddy's girlfriend? Emma asked sleepily. Both adults flushed. No, sweetie. Ms. Chen is helping us save the community center, Mark explained. Good, Emma mumbled. The kids need it. Daddy needs it too. He's only happy when he's helping people. After Emma fell asleep, Mark and Alexandra sat at his kitchen table, talking for hours. He shared stories of his late wife, his struggles as a single parent, his dreams for the center. Alexandra, to her own surprise, revealed her lonely childhood, her drive for success, and her growing emptiness despite her achievements. I built an empire, she admitted, but some days I wonder what it's all for. At midnight, the power went out. Mark found candles and blankets, and they continued talking by candlelight until exhaustion finally caught up with them. The guest room is yours, Mark said, showing her the small but tidy space. That night, the storm reached its peak. A massive crash woke the household. A tree branch had crashed through the guest room window. Alexandra emerged shaken but unhurt, soaked from the rain pouring in. "Are you okay?" Mark asked, rushing to check on her. "Just startled," she replied, though she was visibly trembling. Mark quickly found her something dry to wear. An old university shirt was all he had that might fit her. "Try to get some sleep in my room," he offered. "I'll take the couch and deal with this in the morning." But sleep eluded Alexandra. The events of the day, the conversations, the emotions, everything swirled in her mind. Around 3 a.m., she got up for water and was standing in Mark's doorway when a flash of lightning illuminated her silhouette, followed by the sound of breaking glass elsewhere in the house, startling Mark awake. Their eyes met across the darkened room, a powerful CEO in a borrowed university shirt and a struggling single dad trying to save his community center. "I know how to save your center," Alexandra said softly. "The words that would change everything. And I think you might be saving me too." Mark sat up, confused. "What do you mean?" Alexandra moved into the room, sitting on the edge of the bed. "Horizon doesn't just need another charity project. We need meaningful community partnerships that make real impact. Your center isn't just helping those kids, it's transforming lives. Including mine, somehow, in just one day." "I don't understand," Mark said. "I want Horizon to fully fund the renovation of your center. New building, new equipment, expanded programs. But I also want to teach some of those coding classes myself. I started as a coder, but I haven't actually built anything with my own hands in years." Mark stared at her, disbelieving. "Why would you do that?" "Because today I remembered what matters. Watching you with Emma, with your community, you have nothing. By most measures, yet you have everything that counts." The storm continued outside, but in that moment, a different kind of electricity filled the room, the connection of two souls recognizing something essential in each other. Over the following months, Alexandra became a fixture at the community center. The renovation transformed the space, but more importantly, her presence transformed the opportunities available to the children. Top engineers from Horizon volunteered as mentors. College scholarships materialized. Doors opened. Mark watched in wonder as Alexandra, who insisted the kids call her Alex, sat cross-legged on the floor helping teenagers debug code, her designer suits replaced by jeans and casual tops on her teaching days. For Alexandra, the hours at the center became the highlight of her week. Board meetings and profit margins still filled her days, but now there was something more. Something real. Emma adored her, often asking when Ms. Alex would visit again. Those visits became dinners, then weekends helping with homework, then family outings to museums and parks. 6 months after the stormy night that brought them together, Alexandra and Mark sat on his porch swing, watching Emma chase fireflies in the twilight. "The board thinks I've lost my mind," Alexandra confessed with a smile. "Spending so much time on one small community project." Mark turned to her. "Have you lost your mind?" She shook her head, watching Emma's delighted giggles as she caught a glowing insect. "No, I think I've found my heart." Their hands found each other in the gathering darkness, fingers intertwining. That night, in the storm, Mark said quietly, "You said I was saving you too. What did you mean?" Alexandra was silent for a long moment. "I had everything society tells us matters: money, power, success. But I was empty inside. Then I met a man who had almost nothing by those standards, yet had everything that truly matters: purpose, connection, love." She squeezed his hand. "You showed me what I was missing." 1 year after the flood that destroyed the old community center, they held a grand opening for the new Horizon Community Innovation Hub. Hundreds of community members gathered to celebrate. Emma, now 8, proudly cut the ribbon alongside Alexandra. As the crowd dispersed to explore the new facilities, Mark pulled Alexandra aside. "Remember when we met? I never imagined where we'd be now." Alexandra smiled. "When I woke up that morning, I was just checking a charity box on my corporate responsibility list. I never expected to find a family." Mark took her hand, leading her to a quiet corner of the building. "Speaking of family," he knelt down, producing a small ring box. "Alexandra Chen, CEO, mentor, and the woman who looks surprisingly good in my old university shirt, will you marry us? Emma and me. Alexandra's eyes filled with tears as she saw Emma peeking around the corner, clearly in on the surprise. Yes, she whispered. 1,000 times yes. Emma ran to join them, throwing her arms around them both. Later that evening, as the three of them walked hand in hand through the new center, Alexandra paused to look at a wall of photographs, images of the children whose lives had been changed. In the center was a framed news article about the flood, with a caption that read, "Sometimes disasters lead to unexpected blessings." You know, Alexandra said softly, some people might look at this story and see a fairy tale, the rich CEO and the struggling single dad. But that's not what this is. What is it then? Mark asked, his arm around her waist. It's about finding purpose. It's about realizing that success isn't measured in dollars but in lives touched. It's about creating family where you least expect it. Emma looked up at them both. And it all happened because of a storm and a broken window. They laughed together, a family forged through unlikely circumstances. That night, as Mark and Alexandra sat on his porch, now their porch, they watched the stars emerge. I've been thinking, Alexandra said. What if we expanded this model? Not just one community center, but a network across the country. Places where children can learn, where families can find support, where communities can grow stronger together. Mark smiled. Always thinking big, aren't you? I can't help it. You've shown me what's possible when we lead with heart instead of just ambition. As they sat together, planning a future neither could have imagined that stormy night a year ago, they were proof that sometimes the most beautiful stories begin with unexpected encounters and words that change everything. And that's our story, friends. Sometimes life's most profound changes come when we least expect them, often disguised as disasters or inconveniences. The flooding that destroyed Mark's community center led to a partnership, a love, and ultimately a family that none of them knew they needed. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more content that reminds us all of what truly matters in life. Remember, it's not the circumstances we face but how we respond to them that defines our journey. Until next time, keep believing in unexpected miracles. They might be just one storm away.